Welcome to Canada Reads Inspired, featuring two friends who hope to inspire you to read across Canada. Rebecca is an hour from the border in Michigan, and Tara is from Ontario.
Hello and welcome to Canada Reads Inspired. I'm Tara and I'm here with a special guest. I have author Corinne Hoebers. Welcome, Corinne.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm
Good.
excited to have you here. Before we jump in, I'm just going to read Corinne's bio to get us started, to get you familiar to our listeners. So, after 25 years of adventures in Toronto and Calgary and a 40-year career in the travel industry, Corinne felt the pull to return to Nova Scotia, where she grew up. As a direct descendant of one of the first 1753 settlers of Lunenburg, her passion for history moved her to write her first self-published novel, Call of a Distant Shore, which won the Silver Medal for Canada East Best Fiction 2009 from the Independent Publisher Book Awards. Soon after, she began a comprehensive journey that led her to writing her current book, Tethered Spirits. Corinne is a member of the Writers' Federation of Nova Scotia and lives in the Annapolis Valley with her Dutch husband and a British blue cat named Toby, who is happiest when he is fed, loved, and has a clean litter box and a warm lap.
Yeah.
I'm a cat person, so I love that,
Good.
Corinne.
You understand.
I do. Okay, let's jump in. Why don't you tell us about your book, Tethered Spirits?
Okay. Tethered Spirits is a historical fiction. It is based in Lunenburg, or the premise, all of Nova Scotia, but mainly in Lunenburg. It is about the German settlers, the foreign Protestants that fled persecution from Europe. It was mainly German down here in Lunenburg, as well as there is some Swiss and some French. They came to a land that was already occupied, which they didn't know at the time, by the Mi'kmaq. So just to let you know, Nova Scotia, there's the area that Mi'kmaq call Mi'kma'ki, that encompasses Nova Scotia, PEI, Newfoundland, parts, mostly New Brunswick, Gaspé, and Eastern Maine. So that is the territory. And so the story is about two people, two German siblings. One is called Christian, but he's now called Bear Cub because he was taken in by the Mi'kmaq and had lived with them for 4 years. And then his sister Hanna, who befriended an elder, a Mi'kmaq elder, and is now questioning her father's ownership of land.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I wrote the book is when you're talking about the settlers, you can't just talk about the settlers. You have to talk about the indigenous people who were here before them. I felt that if I only talked about the settlers, it would be half a story. I felt it would be arrogant of me not to have them in the book. The Mi'kmaq were a hospitable people who were pushed to take drastic actions of what was happening to them. They wanted to save their life ways. They saved their culture. And so basically the settlers that fled persecution, they were the persecuted who comes to a new land, and now they become a persecutor of the natives who are here in Nova Scotia. North America, to the indigenous, is called Turtle Island. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like a turtle if you look at the map. The tail would be Central America, and then so we're on the right. We have Nova Scotia is the right foot of the turtle.
Let's discuss. So I'm from the East Coast myself. I'm from Newfoundland. And when I picked up your book, I learned a part of history that I was not aware of for Lunenburg, about Nova Scotia. Like I was aware of the Mi'kmaq, but not the history of Lunenburg itself and then the relationship that evolved.
Yeah.
So let's discuss a little bit the role of historical fiction in bringing to light the stories that we are not always aware of or made aware of.
I guess I should tell you exactly how I came about writing it and with whom. Back in 2008, when I did publish Call of a Distant Shore, it was just soon after that that I read the book We Were Not the Savages, which is by Dr. Daniel Paul, who is a Mi'kmaq elder. He's now since passed away 3 years ago. I contacted him then. I only had brief communication with him. I had no intention of writing this book until after I retired, which was 2018. So I sort of started the researching in 2017. And Daniel Paul was my first go-to. He was a tremendous help. I just basically emailed him, asked questions, and we just communicated that way. The other person I was dealing with was Bernie Francis, Dr. Bernie Francis. He is a Mi'kmaq elder, and he's a Mi'kmaq linguist. He and Doug Smith, who was a professor at the University of Toronto at the time, the two of them collaborated. They developed the Smith-Francis orthography, which was a new writing system for the Mi'kmaq, which is now officially recognized in Nova Scotia.
Huh.
So if I didn't have those key people, I also dealt with the Dr. Roger Lewis, who is used to work for the Nova Scotia Museum. Periodically, not as much as I did with Bernie or with Daniel. Working with the three of them, well, they're all important because I also dealt with some other ones on a brief basis. It's important because, especially with Dr. Francis, I could never have done this book without him because he knew the correct spellings, the meanings, what each one meant, how it's to be used. Like, for instance, the word chief is a colonial term for a chief of a tribe. And he told me not into the mid 1700s I should be using niganus, which is just meant leader of a community.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that. So I dealt mainly with Bernie right from the get-go in 2018-19, right through off and on until I published it. And he's the one that also, underneath Tethered Spirits, you see the Mi'kmaq term.
Yeah.
That does not mean tethered spirits. I had to explain to Bernie what tethered spirits meant for this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him that it means we're all connected, not just with each other, but with nature, with the plants, with the animals, with the ecosystem. We're connected all together. What you hurt with one, you hurt with the rest. And when he knew that, then he came up with this, the Mi'kmaq words. And the NA that is in between the two main words, that means that it truly means connection, that we are all connected. And as Bernie put it, I cannot do anything without him, and he cannot do anything without me. We go forward together.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Why did you choose fiction to tell the history rather than nonfiction?
I wanted to tap into the emotions.
Hmm.
I wanted to get different perspectives on both sides. And that was the whole purpose of writing this. I did come up against some pushback in certain areas, not from the Mi'kmaq community. They were very open and welcoming me in doing this when I told them what I was doing. But I got more pushback from the non-Indigenous people that I should not be doing this. I cannot think about speaking on their behalf. And I understand that totally. But, when you're writing historical fiction, it's impossible to know how people think 400 years ago, 300 years ago, even today. You can't figure out how they're thinking. But I had to attempt it.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to do it. So I wanted perspective from both sides.
Well, and that's the beauty of fiction too, is that we can bring in, like you said, the emotion, right?
Yeah. You can't do that with nonfiction.
No. Now, speaking of nonfiction, how about your because the historical details are amazing in this book, down to the clothing, the food, everything. Can you tell us about your research process?
Yeah, I for both sides. Well, first of all, I didn't have a problem getting information on the settlers from that side perspective. But from the Mi'kmaq side, I made sure I only dealt and read books that were written by Mi'kmaq, by the Mi'kmaq people.
Hmm.
I also had some help from, I don't know if you've heard of this gentleman, Nicholas Denys. He is a 17th century settler and who lived with the Mi'kmaq. And he has a journal, a diary. So I use that a lot. That diary is actually online. And
Wow.
I use that a lot because he talked about everything, their clothing. Of course, that was pre-British invasion. The clothing, the hunting, the shelters, the wigwams, everything. It's something like 20 pages, and it's all typewritten. But yeah, it was a journal that he had written. It was really good help a lot.
Yeah.
The other one was Silas Rand, who was a Baptist minister who lived in the 19th century, late 19th century. And he also has journals. And he lived with the Mi'kmaq as well.
Okay, that's fascinating. Good finds. Because I was amazed at how well both sides were actually like both living experience by both groups of people, by the German Protestants and the Mi'kmaq, how well you portrayed both. And it seemed genuine and honest.
I've been hearing that from other people who have read the books,
Yeah.
that they felt it was balanced. It was tough. I have to admit, there were times that I was ready to give up. There was one lady who lives in Bear River. Her name is Rose. I told her what I was doing, and we only had a brief meeting, and she said that don't give up. But that's what was keeping me going,
Yeah.
not to give up. But even though I wanted to give up, Daniel Paul, towards the end, he was one of my sensitivity readers. So he read the entire manuscript and he gave me a lot of suggestions, and he liked the book, and he thought it had a lot of potential. And yeah, so,
Yeah.
and he wasn't the only one. I had Carolyn Landry, who is a Mi'kmaq here, who belongs to the Annapolis Valley First Nation here in Nova Scotia, in the Annapolis Valley. And she read it, and she gave me suggestions. I incorporated all the suggestions that were given to me. Yeah.
Yeah. So community support was very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
And I wanted to let you know that the cover of the book, the artwork, is done by Matt Connolly. He's a friend of mine, and he's a Mi'kmaq elder from Newfoundland.
Mm. I
Yeah.
think I read in the book from Corner Brook. Is that
Yes.
correct? That's where I'm from. That's
Oh, isn't that
yeah.
funny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read that there and I'm like, so I love I don't need the personal touches. I don't need to see them in a book to enjoy it. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, a little bit of
Okay.
home in the book for me
That's
too.
good.
Yeah. So my next question was, but I think you've touched on it, like your relationship with members of the Mi'kmaq community while you're writing the book and the roles they played. It was vital, it sounds,
It
to the
was.
writing.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had actually four sensitivity readers. It was Daniel,
Okay.
Paul, Carolyn, and Matt. But the fourth one I didn't know because Matt sent it over to a friend of his, an elder in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I had some feedback, but it was it's tough wondering if I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And it was hard because my editor said she's never seen a book like this before, that it's taken from both sides. And you have to admit that up until a few years ago, or maybe even now, maybe not so much now, but the white man or the non-Indigenous people haven't done the Indigenous people any justice,
Yeah.
because you get in one side. And I
Yeah.
suppose if you're looking at this book, you are getting one side to a point, because I did my research. And I think if it's done properly, I I don't see any problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, touching then on the two stories, the two sides. So your chapters are all generally titled, sometimes with just a date. Sometimes there's something else in the chapter title. Do you want to
Yeah.
speak on that?
What I did was each time the chapter was on the Mi'kmaq side, when you're with the Mi'kmaq people, I always put the time of the year. So the Mi'kmaq have 13 months. So let me give you an example. There's one here. If I find one, the first chapter is the, and all the pronunciations are on the back.
Yeah, there's a beautiful
Yeah.
glossary in the back. Yeah.
Nibinigoos, and that's a leafy moon. So I wanted to ensure that that was at the front of each chapter where I spoke about the Mi'kmaq.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that little detail to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd like to say is that when it comes to what I've learned is all in this book, but that's only the tip of the iceberg because I have so much more to learn. And I'm not a spokesperson for them. Anything about them, people should go directly to the Mi'kmaq or to a museum or, yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you, Corinne. Corinne, would you like to read something from the book for us?
Yes, I would. This is about Singing Sparrow. Singing Sparrow is Bear Cub's intended. He is engaged to her, and she is just thinking, these are her thoughts of what's been happening. Even though Singing Sparrow's birth 18 winters ago had occurred amid growing uncertainties and suspicions of the new people to Mi'kma'ki, it was over the past few moons that a sense of foreboding had gained momentum. She sensed the uneasiness from her parents, especially in her father's withdrawals to be alone, and lowered voices with the visiting Niganus. Within the village, talk of war became more loudly pronounced than joyous chants of a successful day's hunt. Their self-reliance was slowly waning to dependence. 2 nights ago, the usual hatchets, clothing, and ammunition had arrived. Even more came from the French: dried peas and fruit, stale flour, and hard biscuits. With these new foods, sicknesses soon followed, something Singing Sparrow had witnessed before. In return for these commodities, they traded bags made from reeds or animal skins and various furs. The pelts piled higher in the compound as the men began overtrapping. That left little time to hunt for their own food. The new people were increasing in numbers, and they were using the same canoe routes as the people were. Because the settlers did not know how to live the teachings of the Creator, Mother Earth was beginning to show her displeasure. Singing Sparrow had been taught the practice of sharing from a very young age. Her mother preached the importance of maintaining a lasting relationship with all of creation. Things must remain in balance, her mother said. This wisdom is gathered from our ancestors. She was baffled. Is this not taught to the new people? Are they not disciplined to share? And just one more thing I wanted to read is after the end of the book and my author's notes, I talk about what had happened over the next century.
Mm-hmm.
Over the next century, many petitions similar to the ones written in this novel were submitted to the government. They were ignored. This left small pockets of white settlers to provide some form of relief where they could. At various stages of the 19th century, famine, devastating effects of excessive alcohol consumption, and begging put Mi'kmaq in closer contact with white settlements. With their compromised immunity, they succumbed to disease. By 1838, there were only 1,425 Mi'kmaq left in Nova Scotia.
Okay. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
that,
you.
Corinne. Anything else you would like to share about your book?
Yes, I just want to let everyone know that 30% of my profits are going to the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Center, a society in Halifax. It's a board-run nonprofit society that provides culture-focused programs, services, and support to the urban Indigenous people. And one last thing I wanted to say, I'm hoping that this book will open up conversations to allow our past to teach us the importance of cultural awareness that fosters respect and builds bridges.
Yeah.
That is my hope.
Yeah.
I'm
That's a
hoping
good
it's
hope.
going to get people talking.
Yeah. Conversation. That's how we build bridges.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, I always like to end a conversation, a bookish conversation, by adding to my and our listeners' TBRs. So what have you been reading lately, or some of your favorite books? What would you like to share with us?
I tried to read. That was a hard question because I have so many books.
I know it's really not a fair question.
I know, but I haven't got a favorite. I got some that come to the surface more, I guess. One is Ken Fowlett's The Pillars of the Earth.
Okay.
I love that. And then historical fiction is what I like. I read, all my life I've read mostly nonfiction, but I do read fiction as well. Not that much. So one is John Newton, who it's called From Disgrace to Amazing Grace. He's the one that wrote Amazing Grace. And it is a fabulous book. It's written by Jonathan Atkin. And it takes him right from his slave trade, right when he became eventually a pastor in England at a church. And he'd studied theology.
Yeah.
And his journey.
That sounds
it's
fascinating.
really a fabulous book.
Yeah. I think my Rebecca would love that book, actually.
Yeah. I'm sure, I think everybody's heard of this book, The Shack.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It was made into a movie. That is amazing. Fiction book. I mean, you almost finish reading it and you think, I wonder, was it true? Yeah. And the last one, and I picked this up a couple of years ago, and I loved it so much that I gave it to our grandchildren and one of my friends. And it's called The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
Oh, you have to. It's just all little short sentences that talk and illustrations on just life itself. Yeah.
Beautiful. Those are all great recommendations. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Corinne. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for
inviting me.
listening. Oh, my pleasure. Okay. Thank you for listening, and may all your reading be inspired. Thank you for listening to Canada Reads Inspired. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads Inspired, and with Tara at On a Branch Reads. May all your reading be inspired.